Hi guys, once again welcome to my channel. For those of you just joining me for the first time, thank you and welcome. For my old subscribers, thanks for staying with me all this while. I just wanted to do this video today. It's a video I need to stop saying what is that for? Anyways, I'm trying to clarify the different types of airlines. As some of you might know, I am a flight attendant, and I'm doing this video to help people who are trying to become a flight attendant so they could better understand the different types of airlines, so they could make the best choices when they're trying to apply. Because the saddest thing is to go through the entire vigorous interview process, get hired, and then find out that it's not what you wanted, and then quit. Because it is tedious. It's a very tedious process. So I don't want you to go through that without being sure of what you're getting yourself into. Okay. So to start off, I've been a flight attendant for about almost 2 years now, and I've been with, let's see, a subsidiary, a low cost, and mainline. Now I'm gonna differentiate that. I'm gonna make, excuse me, sorry, I just came back from eating. I'm gonna tell you the differences between the three that I just mentioned. So now you hear a subsidiary. A subsidiary airline is an airline like SkyWest, Endeavor, why am I having brain farts? Mesa Airlines, airlines like that. So basically these airlines work flights for mainline, if that makes sense. So mainline would be United, American, Delta, Alaska somewhat. I don't know. Does Alaska count as a mainline? I don't know. But I know SkyWest works their flights, so that's why I put them in that list. So again, one more time. So subsidiaries work flights for mainline. So like the shuttle flights, like the really short flights, some of these mainlines have too many flights, so they give them out to companies, to sub companies, to work the flights for them. So you might see someone who works for SkyWest in a Delta in a uniform that looks like a Delta uniform, but they're not necessarily a Delta employee. Or you might see someone that works for SkyWest in a United uniform, but they don't necessarily work for United Airlines. Okay. And now you have a low-cost carrier. Low-cost carriers would be Spirit, Frontier, Southwest, Sun Country, just to name a few. Okay, I don't know all of them at the top of my head, but that's just to name a few. Now, low-cost carriers are those airlines that try to get you to where you need to go. Okay, so they will make the fare as cheap as they can, just to get families to where they're trying to go. And as a result of that, you end up paying for most of the stuff on your flight. They're really, I personally love them for personal reasons, because let's say if you don't have money to spend on a United flight or a Delta flight, but you really need to go see your grandparents or something like that, you could always get a flight on Southwest, Frontier, Spirit. Is going to get you to where you need to go, and that's all that matters at that time, right? So now that's what we call low-cost carriers, and they usually do most of the flights are within the US, South America, and like Hawaii. That's where those mostly go. Now you have mainline. Mainline is what I'll call mainline, as I mentioned earlier. Mainline would be Delta, United, American, Alaska maybe. Does Virgin America count as mainline? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I might be wrong in some of these things, and some of you who are flight attendants, you might correct me, and that's okay. We don't know everything, right? So now those are mainline. Now mainlines are the ones that will do, they're bigger carriers. They will do like the local flights, they'll do international flights, they'll do flights to Asia, Europe, Africa, wherever. Like they go pretty much all around the world, right? Now that I've had that differentiated, you need to keep in mind that when you apply, before you apply for a flight attendant job, ask yourself, what destinations am I interested in? Okay, where do I just want to do local flights, or am I interested in doing international flights? So because that will help as a guideline to guide you towards the airline that you might want to apply for. Now also ask yourself, do I want to be home with my kids, or be home with my family, or be home doing my second job, or whatever it is you want to be home for? Ask yourself that. Or do I want to be gone for 3 to 5 days at a time? When you ask yourself that, it will help you to pick out the airline you want to fly for. Now that being said, the reason I mention that is because some airlines do not have scheduled layovers as much as others do. The airline I used to work for prior to where I am today, this was a low-cost carrier. We didn't necessarily have scheduled layovers, like scheduled overnights. However, if you did like charters or certain flights to Hawaii, you will have a layover. But for the most part, you could do that job and come home and be with your family or your friends or your kids or whatever it is you want to do, you know, after your flight. So you basically go out, do 3 flights and come back, right? So if you're interested in that and you have kids, do your research and find out the airlines that, you know, that don't do scheduled overnights, and that might work better for you. Because now if you have kids and you're trying to be home with your kids for the most part, but then you end up with a mainline carrier or a carrier that keeps the flight attendants out for 3 to 5 days at a time, you might not enjoy it. Okay? Now, another thing you also need to keep in mind is the pay. I hate to talk about this, but let's just talk about it and get it out the way, right? Because I remember I wanted answers when I first started. Now, the pay. Some airlines pay more than others, okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean that mainline always pays more than low-cost carriers or subsidiaries, because there's some low-cost carriers, and a good example is Southwest. Southwest pays the flight attendants very, very well for a low-cost carrier. They do get paid very well. Their pay is actually compared to a lot of the mainline carriers, so they get paid very well. Now, subsidiaries, I mean, we all get paid, but subsidiaries get paid. They don't get paid as much as mainline. Makes sense? This is very touchy. I don't want anybody to get offended. I'm just trying to put out the information that I can, you know, so I'm hoping I'm able to help somebody. I'm sorry if I'm blabbing. I'm kind of tired. I just came back from eating and I'm tired, so I'm having a little bit of brain farts all over the place. Anyways, so on the pay scale, you have mainline, but not all mainlines get paid the same. So American flight attendants, Delta and United flight attendants don't all make the same salary. Again, do your research. You could go out there. There's a Facebook group for flight attendants and prospective flight attendants. You can go out there and ask for the pay breakdown, and someone could send it to you. I personally am not comfortable with sharing that information here right now, but if you ask for it, it is out there. If you do want to know about what the pay is for my company, you can send me a personal email. I might answer your question, but right here I'm not comfortable with answering that question because, again, I don't want people to get offended, right? So enough of the blabbing. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that whatever airline you work for, your pay will be different from the other airline. So do your research, please. I cannot stress this enough. Do your research before you join an airline, because I've seen people go through training and quit. And it was sad because training, if you know anybody that's gone through flight attendant training, it is very stressful. It was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. And I cannot believe I did it 3 times. It is very, very stressful. So please do your research. Find what works for you. In order for you to enjoy this job, I'm not going to lie to you, in order for you to enjoy this job, you need to know exactly what you want and go for it. You need to know exactly what you want. Apply to the company you want to be with. I know sometimes we might apply to be somewhere that we actually want and don't get it, and we look for the next best thing, which is perfectly fine. But all I'm saying is do your research before you apply for this job. Do your research, okay? Being a flight attendant is not all as glamorous as people think it is. You feel me? Being a flight attendant is not all as glamorous as people think it is. It has its ups and downs. Just please do your research. Know the differences between the airlines. You know, don't join an airline and say, oh my god, I thought I was going to be flying to Europe, but then you're not flying to Europe, which is a lesson that I learned the very first time, because I was like, when I first applied and I got hired, I was like, yes, I'm going to be going international, right? And I remember doing like the information session, and then they started breaking down like the routes and all that stuff. They were talking about how the airline was doing training, and I'm like, oh, never mind. You know, my international is gonna be Canada. I was a victim of this. I didn't know either. I thought when I was very excited to apply for this job that I literally was like, you know what, I'll apply for any airline. I just want to travel. It doesn't matter. But then I quickly realized that not all airlines are the same. That's what I'm saying, and I'm hoping nobody makes the mistake I made. I left my other airline for different reasons, not for reasons like that, but for completely different reasons before I went to my low-cost carrier. And yeah, please don't make the mistake I did. Know what you're getting yourself into before you do. But by the time I got to my low-cost carrier, I pretty much knew what I was getting myself into. I had done my research. I knew who they were. I knew exactly what their routes were, and I enjoyed it. Okay, one other little part about the flight attendant thing that I haven't touched on is those that only do charters. I can't talk that much on that because my low-cost carrier that I worked with did both. They did scheduled flights and charters, so I cannot necessarily talk about charter airlines only. If any of you guys are charter flight attendants, you can put in the comment section if you have any advice for people who are trying to apply and stuff. I hope this video helps someone. Let me know if you have any more questions for me. I'll be very happy to answer them. Sorry if I was looking away and looking distracted. I'm just really tired. I ate too much, so I went and had some dim sum and it was so good. Anyways, thanks for watching and ciao.